Religious spirituality. Part 2. The introduction to spirituality. Many of us have explored spirituality in our own ways. Although quest is very individual and it is collective in spirit, this is because spirituality in people's minds is synonymous with the search for meaning, for purpose and direction in life. People get attracted to spirituality and embark on their spiritual journeys for different reasons. I have 5 reasons I would like to talk about. Curiosity about the spiritual dimension. This includes seeking answers to the more profound questions in life, such as, what is the purpose of life? Where did I come from? And where do we go after death? That's number 1. Number 2, when facing a problem in life. Sometimes problems in life are often a catalyst for people to search for an answer to their problems beyond the purview of modern science. This includes approaching an astrologer, a psychic, or a holy man. Number 3, interested in spiritual healing. The ability to heal by channeling subtle energies is an art that has been pursued by millennia. Number 4, interested in personality improvement. Wanting to be a better person can lead one to spirituality and a more spiritual way of life. Number 5, wanting to grow spiritually. Some of us have a need to grow spiritually and do not need a catalyst to push us towards spirituality. The definition of spirituality in Sanskrit, spirituality is known as adhyatma. It is derived from 2 words, adi and atman. Adi means pertaining to the topic, and atma means the soul. The soul is the God principle within each of us and is our true nature. It is the main component of the subtle body, which is a fractional part of the supreme God principle. Its characteristics are absolute truth, sat, absolute consciousness, chit, and bliss, anand. The soul is unaffected by the ups and downs, and the happiness and the unhappiness. One experiences in life as it is in blissful state. Our natural state is to be blissful, which is the nature of the soul within us, and we all inherently yearn to be in the state. This is also the reason why we all search for happiness in life and run after various things we think will make us happy. However, we all know with the stresses and strains of modern day living, happiness is elusive and fleeting. Spirituality thus deals with the understanding the nature of the soul and one's journey back to identifying with the soul and experiencing it as one's true nature. Spirituality is the expansive science about how to be blissful. The scope of science of spirituality is vast and also includes answers to the profound questions such as, who am I? Where did I come from? What is the purpose of life? Where will I go after death? Etc. In Sanskrit, spirituality or spiritual science, it is called Paravidya, supreme science, while all other sciences are called Aparavidya, meaning inferior science. By science, we mean modern science. Rationalists and most people think that the science and spirituality are 2 separate disciplines. However, spirituality is the knowledge of infinity. That is the knowledge of all subjects. It covers the whole physical world and the subtle unseen world. All the physical and spiritual religions, all physical and subtle frequencies, energies, and vibrations, all positive and negative entities, and all living beings and non-living beings in the whole universe. Spiritually contains all the knowledge and memory of the past, present, and future from the beginning to the end of the universe. The difference between spirituality and religion For many people, religions provide them with their first learnings about spiritual matters and things that are beyond the physical world. However, religions often tend to be sectarian in nature. A sect is a group of people who usually think that their path to God is the best and the preferable one, if not the only one. However, one of the fundamental principles of spirituality is there are as many paths to God as there are to people. Just as a doctor does not have the same medicine for different ailments which different people may have, similarly, the same type of spiritual practice does not necessarily benefit everyone. When spiritual practice is tailor-made as per the temperament and the needs of an individual, it leads to faster spiritual progress. God is expansive, and to experience Him, we too must become expansive in our spiritual outlook. A myopic or ethnocentric outlook about religion or spirituality often stifles spiritual growth, thus leading to stagnation. Why is spirituality vital to us? Well, regardless of who we are and where we come from, our need to experience happiness in our lives drives all our worldly pursuits. This need is common to all of us, regardless of culture background, religion, gender, social or financial status, etc. One of the main reasons we experience happiness is due to problems in life. Everyone knows about the physical and psychological causes of problems in life. However, what many of us do not know is that the problems that are physical or psychological in nature can have a spiritual root cause. This means that even though a problem is primarily due to spiritual reasons, it can manifest as a physical or psychological problem. The main spiritual problems are destiny, which is karma, problems due to departed ancestors, and distress due to negative energies. We have a breakdown of the root cause of difficulties in a person's life. Psychological and or physical could be like 20%. Spiritual and psychological and or physical could be 30%. Pure spiritual in nature is 50%. Through spiritual research, we have found that over 50% of the problems that a person faces in life are due to spiritual reasons. All major life events such as marriage, good and bad relationships, serious accidents, and major illnesses are mostly due to one's destiny. Now, this is important. The solution for any problem needs to be provided at the corresponding level. The solution for a problem to be at physical problem, psychological problem, and spiritual problem. When the problem of a patient has a spiritual root cause, it is best to provide spiritual help or employ a spiritual solution to help. Spiritual measures such as practicing spiritual provide relief to physical and psychological problems as well, and this is especially so if the root cause the problem spiritual in nature. Spirituality and the purpose of life. Is this all there is to life? For example, getting a good education, earning money, getting a loan, purchasing a car, getting an even bigger loan, purchasing a house, purchasing a bigger house, achieving success and recognition in some field, raising a family, and then ultimately we die. Some of us may begin to wonder whether life has a higher purpose. For those of us who have gone through this stage in introspection, it is like something has shifted deep within us. For some of us, such feelings have propelled us to embark on our own spiritual journeys. According to the science of spirituality, there are really only two reasons for being born. The first purpose of life is to complete one's destiny or karma that one is born with. The second one and more important purpose of life is to grow spiritually. Practicing spirituality as per universal principles help with both these purposes. It helps to burn adverse destiny that cause us unhappiness, and it also helps us to grow spiritually. Spirituality is a practical science. Many of us have read books on spirituality and spiritual concepts. However, mere theory, even if it is correct, apart from providing direction to an individual, unless it is put into practice, can never be experienced. It remains as just intellectual spiritual concepts to a person. Only when one puts that knowledge into practice does one get spiritual experiences or the experience of spirituality. Spiritual practice truly helps a person understand the importance of spirituality. This is why it is said that in a person's spiritual journey, theoretically, knowledge of spirituality has only 2% importance, while 98% importance is for practicing. If a person just reads about spirituality and does not practice it, they do not practice it, he will never understand and experience its importance. As a result, sooner or later he may stop having an interest in it. In fact, he may also end up doubting its usefulness in life. Another important point to consider in the veracity of spiritual book that one may be following. As a spiritual book cannot be easily peer reviewed, it is not easy to understand if it is correct. The importance of spirituality evolve. Guru and spirituality. A guru is a person who is a saint at the spiritual of 70% or above. According to the spiritual science, a person who is in authority in the field of spirituality is known as a guru. SSRF uses a scale between 1 and 100 to describe spiritual level. 1% would refer to the spiritual level of an inanimate object, while 100% would refer to the pinnacle of spiritual growth for a person, which is self-realization or being one with God. The average spiritual level of a person in the present times is 20%. One cannot overstate the importance of having a spiritually evolved guide, guru. In one's spiritual journey, in any spiritual quest, a guru is of paramount importance. This is because spirituality is the journey about transcending one's five senses, the mind and intellectual, and instead experiencing that one's nature is the soul. Since a guru has walked the path himself, is an authority in the subject, and is able to guide us on the journey to God realization. Unfortunately, in the current era, 80% of the gurus in society are fake or without spiritual authority. They use the garb of spirituality to earn money and gain importance. They have done a disfavor to society as they mislead people who are interested in spirituality. Most people in today's era are around the spiritual level of 20% and are unequipped to discern whether a person is a saint or not. However, they generally end up following a person who can heal them or perform miracles. If the desire of a seeker is earnest, then the unmanifest God principle intervenes and guides the seeker to an actual guru. They have spiritual paths. There are many generic spiritual paths to God, and the most ones are listed below that I'm about to talk about. I'm going to try to pronounce these words, guys, because they kind of really deep in there. Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. Namsak Kirtano Yoga, the path of chanting. Karmakan, the path of ritualistic worship. Karma Yoga, the path of action. That has no expectation of fruit from an action which is performed. Dhyan Yoga, the path of meditation. Dhyan Yoga, the path of knowledge, which receives the knowledge pertaining to the soul through holy texts or in the subtle. Hatha Yoga, the path of deliberate rigor. Kundalini Yoga, the path of spiritual energy. These paths have been designed so as to suit the temperament of the seeker. However, regardless of which path to God one chooses, it is important that one reduces the intensity of one's personality defects. If one has many personality defects, one cannot sustain on any path. Obstacles in spirituality. As a seeker of spiritual growth, one may come across the following obstacles in one's spiritual journey. Incorrect guidance on spiritual practice. Even if one has a lot of desire to progress spiritually, but the guidance one is following is incorrect, then months, if not years, can be wasted. If not years, can be wasted. Sorry about that. Not as per universal laws. All spiritual practice should be based on universal laws and principles, else it could lead to stagnation. No authority to answer one's doubt. If doubts about spirituality are not clarified, a seeker may end up following a wrong path, end up losing faith in spirituality. Negative energies from the spiritual dimension often misguide seekers from subtle. I think this is very important. Sometimes what life throws a seeker can detail his spiritual practice. Sometimes one may be stagnating in his spiritual practice and one may not even realize it. This is why having a spiritual guide in one's journey is important. The spiritual path to God realization can take years, if not decades. So that means that if you're on the path to your journey for spirituality, it's not going to be an overnight thing. It takes years. You know, a lot of people, they be going through this like 10 years, maybe more. You know, it take decades, like they said. Practicing spirituality. Spiritual practice is something that many start, but there are very few finalists. Few persist with spiritual practice for even a year, and even fewer progress to higher spiritual levels. Why is this the case? It is not that there is a shortage of genuine seekers who want to progress spiritually. Also, spirituality is universal, and anyone, even a person who has committed many mistakes, can progress spiritually with sincere spiritual practice. The reason people give up on spirituality is because in most cases people do not practice spirituality as per its universal principles and under the guidance of a proper spiritual guide. In conclusion, I hope that this video has helped clarify the meaning of spirituality for you. If it has helped you, please share it with others and subscribe to my channel. I encourage those of you on a spiritual quest to consider learning more about your spirituality. Thank you. Goodbye.